Solar punk, huh? Is everything some sort of punk these days? Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, I will be talking about the Pono Way by Kirsten M. Corby. And this is one of the semifinalists for SPSFC 2 that was assigned to my team to read. This is a solar punk novel, which was a new term for me, and I did some Googling, and it apparently means it's focusing on kind of anti-capitalist, anti-climate change, and focusing on like sustainable energy is kind of the point here. So makes sense to an extent. This one takes place on an island that was created, and it's designed to be kind of self-sustained and kind of a utopia called Pono, and deals with a refugee crisis coming from the mainland of what used to be the United States in the aftermath of some big wars and things going on. This book takes place in 2050, so the not-so-distant future here, where there's been a lot of fracturing of the U.S. as well as other places into these different groups, and then there's a crisis going on and people start kind of flooding into Pono, the small island, these refugees going in. And so kind of the point here is how the island basically deals with this crisis. And in it, we have our main character, Jake, who is a journalist, and he is covering the story, and that's kind of how he gets involved. It's just kind of covering the story, doing the news, and then ends up getting more heavily involved than he originally necessarily intended to, as we kind of do the exploring here. Now, I've kind of talked about a lot of those things, and I feel like you can probably imagine a lot of what you're going to find in this novel. This was one of those things where it wasn't bad, and if it would have been longer, I probably would have liked it less. I was kind of okay on it, but the biggest thing that this makes me think of, which I imagine has to be completely unintentional, but this just reminds me of a South Park episode, but without any of the humor. Because we're dealing with the kind of heavy-handed narrative of, refugee crisis and how this works, which is something South Park has done really, really great satire on. Everybody being mad about it, and then, just kind of, almost like I said, following the format. There's a couple other things, it'd be a little spoilery, so I won't say, but that just happened, exactly out of a South Park episode. I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. So this is, it's decently well written, but we're dealing with something, like I said, it's not particularly like an original or different idea, and it doesn't really lean much on the sci-fi elements or the solar punk kind of elements either, which is what I thought would make this kind of interesting. If we were really looking at that more, this is just, commentary on refugee crises and, immigration and war and what you do in these situations. And that's really what the point of this book is. We do have, like I said, some of the sci-fi premise where we have these islands that are created. We hear briefly about kind of how that has happened, but without really any details. So we don't just look at that quite enough. And I would have been interested to see that more, but the big problem for me is the main character is just insufferable. I don't care about him at all. I don't really care about his journey. He's just whiny. All he wants to do is, get famous reporting things and smoke weed constantly. And that's the main character. And it's just throughout, I'll be like, oh my gosh, I need to go smoke some weed because this is stressful. And I'm just like, okay, dude, I just wasn't able to care about or identify with this character at all. Not saying I have anything against people who smoke weed, but when that's half of your personality and it's a book, in real life, if it's half your personality, that gets to be pretty annoying. But it's just, I didn't really care for this character. I didn't feel like their character arc was compelling in any way. We're set up where, they're dealing with some trauma from their past, and this is bringing up those memories, but I feel like we never really delve into that far enough, and in the present, the character is so insufferable and just obnoxious that I'm less inclined to really care about their past, and so that's kind of just where I ended up. There were some things that were interesting, and just with the different way that this island is set up that kind of made it more interesting, and it was less so that just everyone's mad. It's just it's really split because it's a group of people and their whole culture that's been set up on this island is to help other people and to provide everything and that kind of thing. So it is kind of a different look, but the commentary, I think, just like I said, it felt pretty heavy-handed, down to the point, like I said, it reminded me of South Park, but South Park at least, makes it funny when they do the really heavy-handed commentary, and that's kind of the point. So just felt like it didn't really do enough on like the sci-fi side to make this more unique. It just kind of was like, okay, I'm gonna make this little type of sci-fi setting, and then we're just going to do the commentary I wanted to do. Nothing wrong with that, but it just, I don't feel like on its own merits as a story, I don't think it stands very strong outside of the commentary, which is the main point. And so that was kind of where I ran into an issue. So unfortunately, I wasn't a huge fan of this one. It was pretty short, though. I was able to get it through. And so, like I said, it's definitely not a bad story by any means. It's just, it felt to me like things I've seen before and didn't really add enough to elevate it to be something that I was really going to enjoy. But it was, like I said, pretty well written for the most part. And didn't do anything, like you said, I'm like, this is terrible by any means. Not saying that at all. Just definitely was not able to really elevate over just kind of that middle, like, it's okay kind of thing for me, unfortunately. So that's kind of where I landed on this one. So those are my thoughts on this one. Let me know your thoughts on any of the things I said, or if you've read this, or if you've read anything else at solarpunk. Like I said, solarpunk was completely new as a term to me. I had not heard of that, so I'm always curious to hear more about different genres and kind of styles that are going on there. So definitely let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like. Check the link in the description, as always, for the Wizardly Do a Discord. If you want to chat books, whether this book, other books, any books, really anything at all, it is a lot of fun, and we'd love to have you. And of course, if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe.